things. Be humble. Engage with people you're trying to do solidarity work with. Don't engage with us as if you have all the answers. Because many of the things you're thinking about, we've thought about before. Bring some kind of resource. Don't send me an email saying, I wrote this group in Guyana asking them for information about the situation there, and they haven't responded in 3 weeks. Well, maybe they were trying to do something and make some change and work, and they were busy. So, I mean, if bring some sort of, and be clear about what you're able to contribute. It doesn't have to be something enormous. You know, I'm a little reluctant to put out the idea about visiting too forcefully, because not all places are safe, and it requires some measure of planning, but I really think that one of the most important and tangible ways to understand what's going on locally is to participate. And to participate with a sense of humility, you know, not to arrive as the ugly North American tourist who needs to be pampered, but to really have a lived experience. I mean, even living in the Caribbean, even with a mother who went to school in Jamaica, it wasn't until I set foot in Jamaica as an adult that I myself was able to counter this notion of Jamaica being the most homophobic place on earth. And so now we end up quoting a human rights lawyer, Philip Dale, who says, Jamaica's the gayest place I've ever been. And it is. Despite all the violence, there's amazing resistance. There are amazing ways in which people make space. And that kind of complicated reality and that kind of understanding of what are the opportunities for intervention, you don't get if you're not there.
I actually will read a paragraph that I wrote, I think, 2 years ago about solidarity, and I just noticed I copy-pasted here, so I think it's a bit cheesy, so but we love cheesy sometimes. Well, I think we aspire to build a queer solidarity based not on racist assumptions about others who look different, speak different languages, or live in different places, but on a willingness to listen to each other and stand together against violence, even when some among us try to justify it in our name. We are not oppressed victims who identify with each other's suffering, but of courageous queer activists, thinkers, artists, writers, and everyday people who identify with the common dream of a better reality where we can express and celebrate our full and beautiful complexity. And I think complexity is a very key word here.
Actually, Angela, there's one other thing I forgot I wanted to mention. There have been some conversations. I don't know if people followed. There was a series of Buju Banton concerts in, I think there was some in Canada and many in the US late last year. And there was this engagement that the LA Lesbian and Gay Center did where they had a meeting between some very troubling activists, some of them real racists, and Buju, that really produced nothing and actually set a lot of the advocacy back. But out of some of those frustrations, some Jamaican and other activists in the California Bay Area came up with this idea of not doing a boycott, but doing a boycott, looking at ways in which, through using that same economic muscle, that kind of sense that that's one of the ways in which we can make change, but to use it in a positive way, to focus on particularly small business, tourism-related things, as well as music industry, things that economic activities in places like Jamaica that clearly identify that they support an anti-homophobic vision, and to target as tourists or as people with some sort of economic muscle in the north, supporting those as opposed to using the economic power in a negative sense.